There was a time when a man's strength wasn't measured by how many battles he won or how many women he conquered, but by how deeply he understood himself, how still he could become in the presence of chaos, and how powerfully he could channel the fire within. In the silence of mountain monasteries and in the sacred rites of forgotten tribes, men were initiated not through indulgence, but through mastery. They were taught that the greatest energy a man holds is the one most casually lost today, his sexual energy. In the ancient world, semen was never seen as waste. It was revered as the elixir of life, a sacred force born from blood, marrow, and spirit. It wasn't just fluid. It was power, potential, destiny, condensed into a single drop. But we've forgotten. In today's world, masculinity is too often reduced to appetite. You're told to release every urge, indulge every desire, prove your manhood through constant conquest. And yet somehow, this path leaves most men feeling empty, disconnected, lost in the noise of the world, and even further from themselves. We've mistaken freedom for depletion, pleasure for power, release for rebirth. But what if the ancient ones were right? What if the energy you've been taught to waste is the very key to becoming who you were meant to be? This is the beginning of that journey. A journey not of repression, but remembrance. Because semen retention isn't about denial, it's about transformation. This practice, hidden for centuries in Taoist alchemy, Tantric yoga, Ayurvedic medicine, and indigenous wisdom, is now returning. Not as myth, not as superstition, but as truth for the modern man who dares to wake up. Semen is not ordinary. Biologically, it's one of the most complex substances your body creates. It's filled with life-building nutrients, zinc, magnesium, calcium, vital proteins, and powerful antioxidants. It contains your testosterone, your dopamine, your life force. To spill it carelessly is to drain your essence, but to contain it is to rise. When you retain, something subtle begins to change. Your mind sharpens, your energy grows, your posture shifts. You walk with purpose, speak with calm, and act with clarity. The world notices, but more importantly, you do. You begin to remember the man you were before the world told you to be someone else. And in that remembering, you reclaim a sacred power. The man who masters this path does not live in fear of his desires. He simply learns how to guide them. He does not run from his urges. He turns them into fire. This is the foundation, the beginning of the return. In the chapters to come, we'll explore the science behind semen retention. We'll uncover its roots in ancient spiritual systems. And we'll walk step by step through the techniques that allow you to harness and direct your sexual energy as fuel for everything: your health, your creativity, your purpose, and your awakening. But for now, let this truth settle into your bones. You are not broken. You are not empty. You are simply leaking your power. And it's time to seal the vessel. If this message speaks to something deep inside you, stay with me. This isn't a trend, it's an initiation. A return to the sacred masculine, and a remembering of the strength that was always yours. This is the path of mastery. This is the path of the awakened man. And it begins now. In the age of modern science, we've mapped the stars, decoded the genome, and split the atom. But somehow, we've overlooked the most sacred substance a man produces. We've reduced semen to a function, a fluid, a means to reproduction. We forget that the ancients saw it differently. To them, semen was not just a biological necessity. It was a sacred gift, a living symbol of a man's creative essence, a link between the physical and the spiritual, something to be honored, not wasted. And now science is beginning to reveal why they may have been right all along. Let's strip away the layers of shame, secrecy, and misunderstanding. Let's look at the truth. Semen is not just fluid. It is a powerful biochemical cocktail, rich in over 200 proteins, minerals like zinc and magnesium, and essential nutrients that your body works hard to create. It contains high levels of testosterone, the very hormone that fuels your energy, builds your muscles, sharpens your focus, and deepens your voice. It's also loaded with dopamine, the neurotransmitter of motivation and reward. Serotonin, the regulator of mood and calm. Oxytocin, the hormone of bonding and trust. When you release these chemicals through ejaculation, you feel a brief high, a moment of pleasure. But what comes after? For many men, the crash, mental fog, physical fatigue, emotional flatness, and it makes sense. Because every ejaculation is an energetic withdrawal, a drain on your reserves. Not just physical, but neurological, hormonal, psychological, spiritual. Not about suppressing your desire. It's about transmuting it, redirecting it, holding it, until it becomes light, fuel, and fire. And when you do, everything shifts, your energy levels rise, your focus becomes razor sharp, your willpower strengthens, your confidence deepens, your presence expands. You don't become less of a man, you become more of one. This is why ancient yogis believed semen, what they called ojas, was the most refined form of life energy. A man who built and stored ojas was said to radiate charisma, clarity, and spiritual magnetism. And this is why Taoist masters practiced inner alchemy, using breath, movement, and meditation to recirculate this essence throughout the body, healing organs, expanding consciousness, and unlocking vitality that others mistook for magic. But it's not magic, it's discipline, it's devotion, it's understanding the deeper blueprint written into your biology. And you can reclaim it, right now. If you've ever wondered why you feel powerful during periods of abstinence, if you've ever noticed a glow in your eyes, a calm in your mind, a strength in your spine when you hold your seed, that's not your imagination. That's your true nature rising to the surface. This chapter is not about guilt. It's about awareness. You've been expending your power without knowing it. Now you know, and knowing is the first step toward mastery. In the next chapter, we'll explore the ancient wisdom traditions that mapped this practice in detail, Taoist alchemy, Tantric transformation, and the subtle body energy systems that turn semen into spirit. But for now, ask yourself, what if I stopped leaking? What if I held the fire? What could I become? The body is a temple. Your seed is the sacred oil that lights its flame. And when you choose to honor that, you awaken the man the world has been waiting for. In the ancient world, sex was never just about the body. It was a portal, a bridge, a sacred current connecting earth and heaven, flesh and spirit, man and the divine. Where today we see release, the sages of old saw refinement. Where we chase climax, they sought ascension. And at the center of this transformation was one source of power, sexual energy. Taoist masters called it Jing, the essence of life. Stored in the kidneys, woven into your bones, carried through your blood. It was seen as the root of longevity, creativity, and spiritual evolution. In the Tantric temples of India, it was known as Shakti, the raw force of creation itself. The spark of the universe resting at the base of your spine, waiting to be awakened. And in Ayurveda, semen, ritas, was described as the final fruit of digestion, the most precious drop produced after 30 days of refinement within the body. It wasn't just a fluid. It was ohas, radiant life force, glowing through the eyes, the skin, the aura. These were not metaphors. These were maps. Maps of how to transmute the energy of lust into love, and love into light. The process began with retention, but it did not end there. For to merely hold is not enough. The true path is to circulate, to transform the pressure of desire into a current of vitality that moves through the body like wind through a temple. In Taoist inner alchemy, men were taught to breathe deeply into the lower belly, to feel the sexual energy rise up the spine, pass through the heart, and crown the mind. Through breath, visualization, and subtle movement, they channeled the seed not downward, but upward, recycling their power instead of losing it. In Tantra, sacred union was a gateway to liberation, not by chasing orgasm, but by extending presence. They trained to hold arousal without release, to experience waves of pleasure without loss, to become fully alive in the body while awakening the soul. These practices were demanding. They required discipline, patience, and deep awareness. But those who followed the path became radiant beings, calm yet powerful, still yet alert, grounded yet illuminated. This is what it means to transmute, to take the lead of base desire and turn it into the gold of spiritual realization. And today, that path is still available to you. It begins with awareness, grows through breath, deepens through meditation, expands through movement, and it blooms when you stop fearing your sexual energy and start honoring it. When you stop chasing women and begin connecting with the feminine within you, your creativity, your receptivity, your intuition. When you stop seeking release and learn instead to hold your fire like a sacred flame. This is not about becoming less of a man. It's about becoming a whole one. The man who learns to circulate his seed becomes magnetic. People feel it, even if they can't explain why. He doesn't need to chase validation. He doesn't need to speak loudly. His energy speaks for him. He is rooted in the earth, connected to the heavens, a bridge between worlds. In the next chapter, we'll explore the practical tools and techniques to begin this work, simple ways to retain, redirect, and rise. But before we go there, ask yourself this. What if your urges were never a problem? What if they were invitations to power? True power is not about suppression. It's not about control. It's about transformation. And it begins the moment you choose to stop leaking and start creating. The ancient alchemists were not working with gold. They were working with life force. And now, so are you. You've heard the call. You've remembered the ancient path. Now the question becomes simple. How do you live it? This is where practice begins, not in temples or mountain caves, but in the rhythm of your daily life. Not through perfection, but through presence. Through small sacred acts of discipline that over time reshape your body, your mind, and your destiny. Because semen retention is not just about not releasing. It's about how you live while retaining. It's a lifestyle, a devotion, a sacred art. And like all arts, it begins with intention. Before anything else, ask yourself, why am I walking this path? What am I building with the energy I save? Is it clarity, creativity, strength, spiritual insight? Let your purpose be clear. Let it be strong. Because when desire rises, and it will, your purpose will be your compass. The second step is self-awareness. This path demands you know yourself, your habits, your triggers, your patterns of escape. When do you feel the urge most? What emotions come before the fall? Is it boredom, loneliness, stress? The goal is not to suppress. The goal is to observe, without judgment. And through that observation, you begin to reclaim control. Now we come to techniques. The first is breath. Deep, slow, conscious breathing is the most powerful tool you have. In Taoist practice, it begins in the belly. Inhale through the nose, letting your abdomen rise like a wave. Exhale gently through the mouth, feeling your body soften. When arousal builds, breathe into it. Don't fight it. Don't feed it. Breathe. And allow the energy to move, not downward but upward. You can visualize it rising from the base of your spine, up through your belly, your heart, your throat, and finally your crown. This is the foundation of transmutation. The second technique is movement. Practice disciplines like yoga, tai chi, or qigong, systems designed not just for flexibility or strength, but for cultivating and circulating energy. These gentle movements awaken the meridians, release blockages, and allow your life force to flow. You don't need hours a day. 10 minutes of focused movement in the morning can ignite your system like firewood meeting flame. Then there is meditation. Sit in stillness each day. Even 5 minutes. Let your breath anchor you. Let your thoughts come and go like clouds. Let your awareness drop into the body. Over time, this practice strengthens your mind's ability to witness cravings without reacting. You become the observer, and the observer is free. But practice is not only done in silence. The real work happens in the heat of life. It happens when you're scrolling at night and feel the pull, when you're alone and your old patterns whisper just once more, when you're tired or sad or angry and release promises relief. In those moments, return to your breath, return to your body. And remember, energy not spent becomes energy available. Available for your art, your purpose, your healing, your growth. Some men find support through herbs, cold showers, or exercise. Others through journaling or community. There is no one path, only the one that works for you. But one truth holds: discipline is the gatekeeper. Consistency is the key. No man masters retention in a day. But every man who stays the course becomes more than he was. In the next and final chapter, we'll explore what happens when this path is lived fully. When semen becomes not just stored, but embodied. When retention births leadership, sacred masculinity, and transformation that radiates beyond the self into the world. But before we go there, take a moment. Feel your breath. Feel your center. This is your temple. This is your time. The work is real. The practice is hard. But so is the burden of living below your potential. Choose the fire that forges you, not the one that burns you out. You're not just retaining semen. You're reclaiming your life. There comes a moment on every true path when the practice becomes something more. It stops being an effort and becomes a way of being. You no longer retain your seed out of discipline alone, but because your soul no longer wishes to waste the sacred. You no longer fear your desires. You have learned to ride their fire, to dance with them, to transform them into presence, into focus, into love. This is the final chapter. Not an ending, but a return. Because what semen retention gives you, ultimately, is not just energy or clarity or drive. It gives you yourself, fully present, fully grounded, fully awake. The world doesn't need more men who chase pleasure. It needs men who radiate purpose. Men who are not ruled by urges, but guided by vision. Men whose presence calms a room. Men who lead, not with noise, but with stillness. Men who carry their power, not in their fists, but in their hearts. This is what it means to embody the sacred masculine. It is not about domination. It is not about suppression. It is about integration. Strength with compassion, clarity with humility, fire with depth. When a man walks this path, something shifts, not just in him, but around him. His relationships deepen, his work becomes aligned, his voice carries weight, and his energy, once scattered, becomes magnetic. He no longer needs to prove anything. He simply is. And from that being, he serves. He becomes a lighthouse for others, a protector, a builder, a healer, a leader. He becomes a man who can be trusted, because he has learned to trust himself. This is the man the world has been waiting for, and this is the man you are becoming. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to know all the steps. You only need to commit, again and again, to show up, even when it's hard, to breathe through the fire, to carry your energy like a sacred flame. The more you do, the more you remember. You were never meant to be small. You were meant to rise. So rise, not for ego, not for status, but for truth, for love, for the quiet power that lives in your bones. Let the world feel the man you've become, not because you shouted, but because you listened, not because you conquered, but because you remembered. And when the doubt returns, when the world tempts you to forget, come back to the breath, come back to the body, come back to the choice. You're not just retaining semen, you're retaining the sacred, you're carrying the future. And you are no longer asleep, you are awake, you are the fire, you are the furnace where the sacred is forged, and your life is your offering. If you've walked with me through this journey, through all 5 chapters, then you already know this path is not for everyone. But if it's for you, you will feel it in your chest, in your spine, in your soul. So now if this message has spoken to something deep inside you, share it, speak it, live it, and type in the comments below, "I am the awakened man." The journey continues, but you have already begun. Welcome home.